Hello, everybody out there in the land. This is Stephen Duncan, aka Pearl of Wisdom. Some people call me Pearl of Wisdom. Most people do, actually. But my real name is Stephen Duncan, and guess what's coming up in about a month? Actually, maybe a little more than a month. Hockey, my friends. I got my Hartford hat on, and I am doing futures for today. I'm going to start doing futures now, getting in at some good prices. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be looking first at teams that may make the playoffs and may miss the playoffs. Looking for some plus money, give us a little fun to talk about each team and how they did over the summer and why I think they're going to miss and why I think they're going to make it. By the way, this evening I'm going to be putting out my early bird package for the whole season of the NHL, which I have been green every single year for 6 years straight, some of which were 600 units, 634 units 3-4 years ago, 400 units 2 years ago, and last year I was up 112 units. Lowest one of my career, but I learned a lot from it, and I'm getting back up to the 400 or 500 unit mark, my friends. Yeah, for sure. Here's the cool thing about the NHL this year. A lot of bad teams from last year improved quite a bit. And a lot of good teams from last year regressed. I believe will regress. At least on paper, their team isn't as good as it was last year. Last year was a lot of parity in the league. There's going to be more parity this year. My mistake I made last year is I didn't take enough plus money plays. So I will be playing a lot of plus money plays this year. So go over to my page at Tony's Picks. You can get 15% off there with Tony T if you put in Tony T. On top of that, $250 you can get 15% off. It's nothing. You're basically getting it for free. That's nothing. I'm only going to have it up for 2 weeks though, and I'm doing this for all the people that have supported me for the last 5-6 years. I'm giving them an opportunity to get some really good value, extremely good value. So head in there and check it out. All right. So the first team we're going to be looking at for our futures of who's going to make the playoffs and who's not going to make the playoffs is the LA Kings. The LA Kings this year, well, first of all, let's go with the big move that they did. I don't know if you know about it, but if you're a hockey fan, you will. After giving a fair-sized package to Winnipeg, including Velarde, who's a fantastic player, and to get Dubois, and then giving him an 8-year, $8 million contract, after 1 year, they bail. He had a bad year last year. He has been inconsistent his whole career. It was a very odd move when they made the move. I didn't get it. But for some reason, they thought that they could get the best out of him, and, well, they didn't. And it didn't work out, so they had to move him. Well, they felt they had to move him. And where did they move him? They moved him to Washington for Darcy Kuemper, as they did need a goaltender. The question is, did they get a goaltender? Darcy Kuemper has been injured so much the last 3-4 years. I would be very surprised if he doesn't get injured this year. And their backup goaltender, David Rittich, had one of his best years of his career last year, I have to admit. But he's not a guy that can play tons of minutes. And besides that, they got a kid, Eric Portillo. Now they may go get another goaltender here. I think they probably will get a little more experienced third stringer. Or they'll just go with Phoenix Copley, who I have mentioned over and over again I'm not a huge fan of. I think he's reached his peak, and his peak isn't all that great. But here we are. So Kuemper gets injured. All of a sudden, they got to use David Rittich and Phoenix Copley probably 50% of the time. I don't like either one of those. And here's the other thing. LA has always been known as a defensive team, as a 1-1-3. McClellan, when he got fired, he plays a 1-1-3 religiously, like staunchly. He believes in the 1-1-3, and that, in theory, is supposed to be that you, if you're an analytics person, and I don't know if LA is or not, sometimes I think so, sometimes not, you don't have to go out and get the best goaltender in the world. We saw what Vegas did with Hill. Basically, they won the cup with 3 different goaltenders. But I'll tell you the difference between when Vegas won the cup and when LA won the cup. If for LA to win the cup, is Vegas had a huge, solid, analytically strong defense. Very strong. Probably, maybe the best defense in the league at the time. And they also had analytically strong two-way forwards. So let's go to LA. They're going to be going with Drew Doughty, who's really starting to get over the hill now. There's been regression. Nobody wants to admit it. Nobody likes to say it. Certainly not anybody in LA, but there has been. Vladislav Gavrikov in the 2 spot. He's not a 2. He's a top 4. Then you got Mikey Anderson, good solid defensive defenseman, for sure. Not going to say anything about that. And then he's going to be helping a rookie, Brandt Clark, who they have been high on for a very long time. And he could go out and, really have a great season. But he also could do what rookies do and maybe play some good offense. Not likely going to be a very good defensive player out of the gate. There's very few rookie defensemen that understand the NHL game for defense when they come into the league. Then you have Jordan Spence, is that Jordan Spence? Yeah, Jordan Spence. He's serviceable. He's not bad. But this defense isn't blowing anybody out of the water, is what I'm trying to tell you. And then went out and got Joel Edmondson, who is ass. I don't know what the heck. This is why I think they don't have an analytics team. They gave him like 3-some million for 4 years or something like that. He isn't even worth them. He's worth $1 million at best. $1 million at best. They overpaid all the crap for a guy who can block shots, he can kill some penalties and stuff like that. But he's not good defensively at all. The perception is that he is, but he's not. So after that, Andreas Englund, who I think is better than Edmondson, so he'll probably be in the next spot. Angus Booth, yeah, okay. He's okay. But there's not much here. You could do it this way. You could go Mikey Anderson and Doughty, because I think Mikey Anderson's a righty, so he probably would be better that way. And then Gavrikov with Brandt Clark. But it doesn't really change all that much. So from there, you go up to their forward group. Kevin Fiala he had a meh year last year. Trevor Moore's fantastic on the left side. They went and got out Darren Fogle. They lost Arvidsson. Arvidsson was hurt most of the year last year, so you can say this is kind of an upgrade because they really didn't have anything else. And then Tanner Jeannot, they went out and got from Tampa Bay, who's meh. He brings some physicality. He'll help you, wear down teams in the playoffs if they make it. Center Kopitar, the big one here that could change what I'm about to say for this pick is Quinn Byfield. Quinn Byfield could go off this year up the middle. There is a really good chance of that. He is basically, to me, their bread and butter for whether they do well this year or not. I like him. I think he could definitely have a career year and do very well. But then you got Philip Deneau and Alex Turcotte. Philip Deneau is fantastic. So up the middle, they're actually not too bad. But Kopitar has been regressing every year. Again, another regressing player. They have him on the top line. He's right now on a lot of teams. Kopitar would not be a number one center, and Byfield hasn't proved to be a number one center yet. So they're going into next year not even really having a number one center. On the right side, you have Kempe. Laferriere is good. All of a sudden, Akil Thomas is going to be playing. He's been a career AHLer. They think he might be ready, I guess. He doesn't skate very well. Trevor Lewis on the fourth line. He shouldn't be in the league. Now, this all being said, there's some guys in the lower ranks in the AHL that could come up and crush. All right. It happens every year that you get some surprise players or prospects that come up and do very well. But I'm saying this is not a lineup that I think, well, they're going to be on the bubble for sure. And if you go to Betway and you look at LA to miss the playoffs, they're giving you plus 185. There's some more aspects to this that'll sell my point. I think it's very possible LA misses the playoffs, and here's why. In their division, there's the Edmonton Oilers are making it for sure. Vancouver Canucks are making it for sure. A lot of people think the Vegas Golden Knights lost too much and they're not going to make it. I don't believe that at all. I believe the Vegas Golden Knights will always find a way. They don't mind making moves throughout the season. And their defense is still very, very good in compared to LA, like way better than LA's defense. Goaltending-wise, they still have Hill. And they have the best goaltending coaches in the world. No doubt about it, for sure. Sean Burke is a goalie whisperer. I'm not worried about that either. So I think Vegas makes it as well. Now they're fighting with the Seattle Kraken, Calgary Flames, Anaheim Ducks. I think their only real challenge will be Seattle. That's assuming that 4 teams make it in their division, in the Pacific. And then guess what? I don't think they do. Because over in the Western Division, Colorado will probably make it. They don't look as good on paper, especially without Nichushkin in. They're not as good of a team without Nichushkin. Landeskog may or may not come back, and their defense has taken a hit the last little while. Dallas Stars, their defense has taken a hit too. We'll get into that in another video. Minnesota Wild, they're always in the midst. They're probably going to be fighting with somebody like Minnesota Wild. Nashville, we know they went out and got Stamkos. They got Marchessault, and they made it last year. They're better on paper this year, so there's a very good chance they're going to make it. So that's what? 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's one team that I will be talking about after this. There's one team I'm going to talk about after this. I'm not going to talk about it now. But between Winnipeg Jets and the Utah Hockey Club, I think either one of those teams could be as good as LA. So I think 5 teams could come out of the Central, and then they're fighting with nobody. Seattle Kraken ain't going to make it. There's only 3 teams going to make it, and we already said who those 3 teams are. So, at plus 185, I think there's a really good chance that LA doesn't make the playoffs. So that is your free pick for futures from Tony's Picks and Stephen Duncan. Make sure you get in that $250 season NHL season package. You can't get any better. It's amazing value. Have a great day, everybody. Enjoy the future hockey and all the other sports that you're watching. Take care. Goodbye.